What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me this fine evening is Luis Barranco. We're going up north today, going up to Toronto, and we're going to talk about the Blue Jays and preview their 2025 season. Luis, how's it going?
Talking about some Canadians, today? Toronto,
Going north of the border, going to go some Tim Hortons and watch some hockey.
Timmy Hortons, talking about the Rogers team up there, Good baseball, Toronto.
I think we got a lot to talk about.
The Blue Jays, man. Blue Jays be throwing money like no other team be throwing money, but nobody wants to take their money. I mean, they be throwing stimmy packages out to players, and players like, I don't want your Canadian bucks. I want this American money.
It is interesting. They have signed players. They have not been completely unsuccessful in free agency, but they have not acquired their top guys over the past few seasons. Obviously, Ohtani last year, Soto this year. They went really hard.
Pete Alonso.
I was going to say they went hard after Pete. Yeah, they weren't really in the Bregman. I don't think they were really brought up in that much.
They were the third choice for Jeff Hoffman, who they signed.
Which on the Bregman, I don't know if Bregman didn't want to go there at all, but they should have at least tried. I mean, right now they're projected to be starting Ernie Clement at third base, and we'll get through the roster.
I mean, why don't we just get through the roster right now and just get it over with? I mean, I'll go through it pretty quickly so you can, because it sounds like you have a lot on your chest with this team. It sounds like you're carrying a lot on your chest. I think you're going to speak for the whole country of Canada. I mean, remember, the Jays are one of the few teams that not only they have a state under their whole control, they have a whole freaking country behind them. They represent Canadians worldwide. So we got right fielder George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first, Anthony Santander at left, Bo Bichette, who I don't know if you saw cut his hair off. New look Bo Bichette. Will Wagner at DH. Will Wagner is Billy Wagner's son.
What is their obsession with MLB players' sons?
I don't know.
It's a little weird at this point, but keep going.
I have my thoughts, but I will not say them out loud. Alejandro Kirk, Andres Jimenez at second base, who they acquired for they acquired from Cleveland. I think it was Spencer Horwitz. Ernie Clement at third, and Nathan Lukes at center. Miles Straw is a non-roster invitee to spring training. David Schneider is on the bench. Pitching, they have Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, Max Scherzer, who they signed, and Bowden Francis. In the pen, got some quality guys like Nick Sandelin from the Guardians trade, Yimi Garcia, Eric Swanson, Chad Green, ex-Yankee. Got Yariel Rodriguez, Cuban guy they got last offseason. Dalton Varsho is currently injured with rotator cuff surgery, so he should slot into that outfield. And rounding out is closer Jeff Hoffman. So also Alek Manoah had Tommy John. So William, get these thoughts off your chest. I mean, you watch a lot of Canadian baseball because the Yankees do play them quite often. You do get your fair share of games at the Rogers Center. I feel like the Blue Jays always have scandals. Something always happens in Canada. If it's not something going on, I mean, something's going on. I don't want to get too deep into it, but get into it.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, to be honest, but frustrating. I think if you're a Blue Jays fan, you're frustrated. Obviously missing out on all these free agents. The team really hasn't been that successful, especially with all the promise they were showing with this young core. It's never really worked out. They won 90 games back-to-back in 2021 and 2022. They have not won a single playoff game, though, since 2016 when they lost in the championship series to, of course, the Cleveland team that will not say their name anymore what their name was in 2016. Ever since prime Joey Bats, prime Josh Donaldson, this team just hasn't reached the same heights. And it's not like they were the highest heights. I mean, they made the ALCS in back-to-back years and lost both times. Haven't won the World Series since 93, and they won in 92 as well. Huge, long playoff drought in between those World Series from 93 to 2015 was a super long playoff drought. This year's team, it feels like they're bringing in guys to just spend money to spend money. Like the Santander deal was kind of like everybody's third or fourth option this offseason. Blue Jays included. I mean, he's a good bat. Switch hitter will slot right in behind Vladimir Guerrero, give him some protection, which is good. But Vlad's in a contract year, and that brings up the question: like, if they stink, do they trade him and try to get something at that deadline? You would think he's the biggest name available in July. George Springer is aging, and I just don't really think essentially he's a shell of himself. At this point, he was really disappointing last year. Hit 220 with a 674 OPS, only 19 home runs. Like, he's nowhere near what he was in Houston. Bo Bichette, like, for all the hype, hasn't really panned out as a major league player. And then the second half of that lineup is just terrible. I know you're a huge Alejandro Kirk guy, but he hasn't regained that. What is 2023 for him?
2 years ago.
Andres Jimenez, really good, like, best defensive second baseman in the league, but could not hit the broadside of a barn. It's going to be frustrating for fans. And this bullpen was terrible last year. 29th in reliever ERA. The pitching staff as a whole finished 28th in team cumulative WAR for their pitchers last year. Bring in Jeff Hoffman, which is a win, but there's some medical concerns there. Emi Garcia was a nice pickup, and Nick Sandlin, but they clearly addressed the weakness of the bullpen. But I don't think the lineup's going to be that great. Certainly the second half of the lineup. Haven't even touched on the rotation, but I think this rotation would have been good like 5 years ago. Gosman struggled last year. I'm concerned about him. Jose Berrios, again, another guy that just really hasn't panned out the way I thought he was going to. Chris Bassett, he's been fine. Scherzer, they brought him in. He's going to be 41, I think, this season. They're spending a lot of money on, unfortunately, just guys that I don't think are that great.
Yeah, in my opinion, I just think this team I just think it's a slap in the face for Vlad Guerrero and Bo Bichette. I mean, you're out here offering money to Shohei Ohtani and offering money to all these free agents, but you can't re-sign their own. Just kind of shows you a really bad, precedent. Also, I know you have your opinions on John Schneider, the manager, as a Yankee fan.
Not my favorite. Yeah, I won't hide that.
I think it was a very interesting hire that was said. I think that was kind of a player-led hire when that happened 2 years ago. Not something that they looked and searched. I think it was something led by the big guys. But I mean, this roster is aging. I don't see this team, making a jump. Nothing excites me. Like, Vlad's great. George Springer's on the decline. But man, it's just like their farm's bad. Jeff Hoffman, you were their third choice. This just sounds like a bad deal overall. They have talent, but I don't think they're deep enough or they have enough talent to spread along. So for that reason, I am out on the Jays this year. It's obvious that Vlad's out the door. Obviously, he's going to play great because he wants to get paid. Expect to see him wearing pinstripes or being with the Dominican Mets or pinging balls off the monster next year. So,
yeah, it's interesting because he had that crazy 2021 season where he was in the running for the MVP and Ohtani won it. Followed it up with a good 2022, struggled in 2023, and then it brought up the question, like, okay, is this guy legit? Is he a star? Has a great 2024. I feel like for as good as he was, I feel like his season still kind of fell under the radar. But he finished with a 940 OPS, 30 home runs, and a 323 average. And I think he established himself as one of the better players in the entire sport. So
I got a question.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Where do you rank him MLB wise? Top players in the game. Power rankings.
Oh boy. Just off the top of the head.
Mm-hmm. Top 10, top 20, top 15.
He's top 15 for sure. Maybe top 10. Not top 5.
Yeah, top 5 is like Judge, Betts, Ohtani, Skeens, and
he's
then Soto.
Yeah, he's not top 5.
Top 10? I think he's top 10. But
I think he's in that conversation, yeah. Where'd MLB 100 have him?
I don't know. I just think roster construction-wise, this is just a very poorly built roster. You have 40-year-old Max Scherzer. He'll turn 41 real soon.
Oh, I'd have Bobby Witt top 5.
Oh yeah, Bobby Witt top 5 is a plus. But yeah,
They
I just don't see it with this team. I really don't. I mean, it's just very bad that I know it's Canada, but it's just like Vlad Guerrero, Bo Bichette. You have like building blocks there. I just felt like they're just poorly constructed and they don't have a package. Like there's enough draw to bring players, but why can't you attract players, regardless of location?
they have to overpay guys. Look at their payroll; it's 250 million, and I'm just going to run through some of these contracts. George Springer, he's got $24 million over the next 2 seasons, and he was abysmal last year. Kevin Gosman, $23 million over the next 2 years. Chris Bassett, $22 million this year. Andres Jimenez is actually getting a pretty big contract, $19 million over the AAV over the next 5 seasons. He's locked up long term. The Jose Barrios deal I forgot about, 7 years, $131 million. He's got 4 seasons left at 18 million AAV. Scherzer's getting 15.5 this year. They brought in the Santander deal, which actually isn't that bad. I think there's a lot of deferrals in a low AAV. He's only at 14 million AAV for what could be 6 years if they pick up a club option in 2030. Bo Bichette, $17 million this year, and then he's a free agent. And then Hoffman, they're paying him $11 million annually average for the next 3 seasons. Like, do any of those players scream out to you like elite? And that's a lot of payroll.
No, none of them. I mean, my next question was going to be, who's the last player other than Vlad and Bo? Like, what's their homegrown talent looking like?
And I don't even think I'm willing to say Bo Bichette is like a stud MLB player. He's not. Look at his last year.
Isn't he
His
cool
number.
blue? Is he Coors Cool Blue on Savant?
Yes. 225 average, 599 OPS. But he was banged up. He didn't even qualify.
So yeah, I
He was
mean,
good
it's just a
in
really tough team.
2023.
Just a really tough team, to be honest. I don't know.
And they're in the American League East, which I think is going to be a gauntlet this year. There's a world in which they finish last in the division. I actually wouldn't be that surprised.
And the Rays got better. The Rays are getting healthy. For as bad as the Rays were last year, I think that's the worst possible scenario for the Rays, and the Red Sox are going to be a juggernaut this year.
You're already throwing out the word juggernaut.
Well, I've done my homework and my research. So, but anyways,
actually, I don't even think it's a question. I think this is the worst team in the East, and I don't really think it's an argument.
I don't want to step on the Rays, but like I saw the Rays. The only thing that the Rays don't have is hitting. But I mean, I'm more confident in the Rays and
seems important
in Kevin Cash than I am Toronto.
Yes. Yeah,
and
I agree.
I just don't see a world. I think like Jeff Hoffman, I just felt like they've just spent poorly. And like I'm saying, how can you have a generational talent? I'm not going to say generational. I think that word gets thrown out way too much. Like in soccer, we throw it out world class. I think we have an all MLB player in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And you don't develop quality players. Look at the guys out of the lineup. How many homegrown talents are there on this team? There's only 9. Who are your 9? Alejandro Kirk is 1 because he was a free agent. Vlad Guerrero 2.
Wait. How is Alejandro Kirk homegrown if he's a free agent?
He was an amateur free agent from Mexico, just like Vlad Guerrero.
He was an international signing. Yeah, he wasn't. Okay, I guess he was not the traditional free agent that we think of. But yeah.
Okay, they got the Leo Jimenez, amateur signing, another international homegrown guy. That's it.
Yeah, so the rotation is all external.
And I mean, Bo Bichette was a draft. David Schneider was a draft. Jeff Hoffman technically counts as homegrown because he was drafted by Toronto in 2014.
That's a stretch, though.
And then Alek Manoah, but like, yeah, I'm very out on this team. I just like, man, and they're not prospects. I mean, I think everybody's so high on Arjun Namal, but he's so far away.
He's so far. Ricky Tiedemann was hurt last year. I don't think he's going to be an option this year. I don't even see him on here.
Who? I know they got
Ricky Tiedemann.
Yeah, he's there. I mean, they have him. They got guys in the minors like Jonathan Clase and Joey Loperfido, who've dabbled in the majors. But boy, oh boy, is it dim for this team. Like, it is dim.
They have 2 top 100 prospects right now, yeah.
And who are the 2? Let me guess. Tiedemann, if he even still counts, and Arjun Namala.
Tiedemann doesn't count, but they got Namala and Trey Yesevich.
So, hey, I just think it's very dim. I just think it's a poorly constructed team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a roster that is essentially their third choice roster, probably based on what they brought in free agency. If the Blue Jays actually signed all the guys they wanted to sign, they'd be probably the best team in the American League East, but it's not worked out that way for them.
Well, other than but that's what I'm saying. Other than the country, I mean, the Canadian to U.S. is different. Like, why can't you recruit players there if you're offering more money? There's something going on there that we don't know.
Yeah, I agree. There's something going on because
we've talked about it in prior pod. If you guys want to like key yourself more, we're not going to repeat the whole Alex Anthopoulos. Go listen to that pod our second to last or our last offseason pod. We talked about it.
Yeah,
about the Vlad situation. But I just don't know. Something just reeks.
The transition from Anthopoulos to Shapiro was weird. And you're right. Like, I understand it's a different country and maybe players don't want to go there because of that. But to miss out on all of these guys when they're offering really good money, the money is there. It's weird. And they have some talent too. But again, they haven't really re-signed that talent. So I think there's something weird with this front office. I obviously I can't say, but something's off.
Something's really off. I mean, but last year, let's get our predictions in right now. They went 74-88. DraftKings has them. No sponsorship, no affiliation with DraftKings. Please bet responsibly. They're at over under 78.5. We have their ceiling as a wild card team if everything goes right. And floor division, bottom of the division, competing with Tampa, deadline sellers. What do we think, William? Is that kind of accurate?
Yep, I agree. And you said the total 78.5.
All right. Do you think Vlad gets traded deadline?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting. What do you think the package looks like? Do you think it's a worthwhile package, or you think the package is under market value?
I think it'll be under market value because it's only going to be a couple months.
2-3 top prospects, and then maybe one MLB guy.
I think it'll be all prospects.
Ooh, interesting.
And I can't tell you what team, but because they're not going to trade him in division to the Red Sox, and they're not going to trade him to the Yankees midseason either. I think it would have.
Watch it be like Seattle.
Seattle needs any kind of hitting they can get.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What about a team that's been active in the market this year? That's what I was going to say. Cubs.
That would be a freaking move that they would do. Cubs with Kyle Tucker, Vlad Jr. Then they get pillaged when they can't pay the contracts at the offseason.
They can pay them. They just refuse to pay them.
Hey, I'm telling you, we put Dansby Swanson in that all-time bad contract draft right now, like our annual bad contract. But that contract's actually aging pretty well, to be honest. Yeah, he can't hit that well, but defensively, you are getting primo defensive.
Yeah.
So, hey, get ready for that Dansby Swanson deal for Anthony Volpe in a couple of years.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know. Just prepping you. But 78.5, William. Over, under.
I am way under the border this time.
Yeah, I'm under the border as well. In the division that they're in, I think the Rays are better than a lot of people think. I think people are sleeping on Tampa, and I think Boston's really good. Baltimore was going to regress, and maybe the Yankees, both of those teams regress a little bit, but I just think those two teams are better than the Jays. So give me the under.
Yep.
So, hey, tough days in Toronto. It's been a tough couple months for Toronto in general.
Yeah.
Taking a lot of L's these days, but hey, hopefully the Maple Leafs can finally break their streak, their drought, and get into winning ways in the playoffs. So
we do love our Canadian listeners. And I love Canada. It's a great country.
We love Canada. I love all the Canadian people I've met are probably the nicest people I've met in my life. So hopefully we get some free Tim Hortons. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Dower podcast. We're clearly not in on the Jays this year, but they got to show us something. Who's next, Luis?
We're going out west. Kind of weird. We're going out to San Francisco. So we're going to be headed to San Francisco, seeing what's up there, seeing what's up in the Bay, that they're left alone now with Oakland, with the A's now in Sacramento. So,
all right, we are going out west to the Giants, like you said. This was our Blue Jays podcast. We're both on the under. Tune in tomorrow for the San Francisco Giants. Until then, we'll catch you next time. Peace out.
Peace.